For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Chris Kaufman. It's my pleasure. I'm the tournament director for the Ally Challenge presented by McLaren. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. These are really fun to do because we got some great news to share. A few special thanks I'd like to make before we get really going here. First off, I want to thank the media. It seems like every time we have something to share with the community, the media shows up in really nice numbers, so I want to thank you for that. Really helpful. We have some really special guests today, but I want to recognize Jay Monahan. Jay's the commissioner of the PGA Tour. Jay, thanks so much for coming up today. I think Jay's goes without saying, is a pretty busy person, and I think it's been, I'm going to make this up, but I'm going to get pretty close. I think it's been maybe over 20 years since the PGA Tour Commissioner has been able to visit Warwick Hills. So thanks a lot, Jay. It means a lot. Really appreciate it and all the support. I want to thank everybody here from Ally Financial. I can't ask for a better partner as our title sponsor. Everything that we've asked for help, it's just, they come back to us with spades. So thanks so much for everybody at Ally. It's been a great year and a half working with you. Same goes to everyone at McLaren. Thanks so much for all of your support. What a great presenting sponsor and a great leader in the community. Thank you. And then Warwick Hills. There's a reason why there's been over 51 years of professional golf here at Warwick Hills, from the members, the staff. The support has been tremendous, and then finally the volunteers. We had over 900 volunteers last year. You can't do a tournament to this scale without great volunteers, and many of them came from Warwick Hills. So thank you so much for coming out today, for those of you that are volunteers. We're going to talk about 2019, but I think before we get into that, just a couple comments about 2018. There's a lot that goes into putting together a tournament, and there's a lot of different ways to measure success. And, trust me, we measure. But when you get done, you pick out the things that are really kind of most important. And for me, and this is just my opinion, the charity piece is huge. It's a really great barometer, because when it's all said and done, and we finish the tournament and the winner raises the trophy, it's really about the community and helping the community in a financial way, in a communal way. And we were working really hard last year with our first year event. Many of you in this room helped us be successful. We didn't really know where we were going to land until we got to the end, and we realized that we were able to contribute more than $800,000 to local charities right here in Grand Blanc, Flint, Genesee County. And not only were we able to do that, but we were able to partner with two tremendous charity partners that we worked with last year. One, Junior Achievement of Flint, and the other one, Community Foundation of Greater Flint. And they're great organizations. They do great work, and we're grateful to have been able to work with them. So thank you so much to them. Okay, so looking forward to 2019. I get to introduce someone that's been very, very special to this tournament. She's a visionary. She's the one, I think, that had a lot to do with saying, hey, professional golf belongs back in Genesee County. And it's really been wonderful to work with Andrea. She's everything we've asked her for, she has helped us with. Told us some things we didn't ask for also, but she's been great, and we're really fortunate, Andrea, to have you be able to work with you and support us, and we're grateful. So Andrea Bremer is the Chief Marketing and Public Relations Officer. This is a funny joke, I'll tell you later, of Ally Financial. Andrea, come on up.
Chris never gets my title right. He always demotes me so he finally got it. So that's kind of the inside joke. After the last press conference, I'm like, you just demoted me like 5 levels, thanks. Thanks, Chris, and thank you guys all for being here today. We're really excited. You can tell spring is in the air when we have an Ally Challenge press conference, so good stuff. And as Chris mentioned, You know, the primary reason that we wanted to move forward with doing this tournament especially in this community, was for the charitable aspect of it. When I first met with the PGA, I've got to be honest with you, I never really realized that the amount of money that goes back to the local communities as a result of PGA activations, and that was a huge motivator for us. You know, Flint and the Grand Blanc area has become really near and dear to my heart. It's a big part of you know, why Ally is in this community, and really it's all about changing lives. And the $800,000 that we were able to raise last year was staggering. I remember saying to Dan and to Chris, "What do you think we can raise in the first year?" And they said, "You'll be lucky to get right around 500." And I said, "Nope, not good enough. We're going to blow that out of the water." And we did, and that's a huge thanks to everybody in the room. That's a huge thanks to the more than 60,000 people that were on this golf course during that time, which is amazing. And I actually read in one of the local papers that it was more in our first year than the Buick Open ever raised in the 50 years that it was here. So I think that's an amazing testament. You know, as Chris mentioned, we had great charity partners last year, and we've already seen amazing results with what they're doing with the money in the local community. And so our objective this year was to work with the advisory board and pick a couple of new charities and partners that would really be focused on economic mobility in the community and really kind of get at the heart of our philanthropic efforts at Ally. And so I'm really proud to announce that the proceeds of the 2019 Ally Challenge presented with our friends at McLaren will benefit the Genesee County Habitat for Humanity and the United Way of Genesee County. The Habitat plans on using the proceeds for their owner-occupied repair program, which really helps people improve their financial stability and the stability of their neighborhoods by keeping them in their homes, which I think is exceptionally important. And United Way is going to deploy the funds across the country for financial literacy projects, housing, and employment services. And we know that they're going to do a lot of great things with the funds. And, you know, in closing, I kind of would just like to leave you with this thought. I met actually a couple weeks ago with Chris Wise and a group of folks, and we were talking about the kind of the reopening of the Capitol Theater and all the great things that are happening in Flint, and really this idea that the focus is on the future, and the focus is on the optimism and the excitement and the path forward, and not on the past. And the Ally Challenge is hopefully a big part of that path forward, and I thank you guys all so much for supporting us in this. We couldn't do it without so many of the volunteers, our great tournament director, our friends at the PGA and HNS, and obviously our partners at McLaren's and the membership at Warwick. So thank you guys on behalf of Ally, and really looking forward to a great 2019 Ally Challenge. Thanks.
Thanks, Andrea, and congratulations to Habitat for Humanity and United Way. I'm looking really forward to getting to know you well and working with your staff. So it's exciting. Thank you. I think now we want to move into a Q&A session. I'd like to invite Jay and Andrea Brimmer to come up with Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan is our president and managing partner of H&S Sports Group. So come on up. Thanks, Dan. It's all yours.
Thank you, Chris. First of all, echo Chris's thoughts. Thank you very much to the media for showing up every time we have something to talk about. You guys are great partners with us to get the word out, and great crowd this morning. Thank you for being here and having so much interest in what we're all about. So we thought we'd do a little rapid-fire Q&A here for the next 15 minutes and just talk a little bit about the business of golf in a couple different forms. So Jay, I'll start with you. PGA Tour champion has 27 events across the tour throughout the year. Talk a little bit about the brand and just the product itself, and what do you expect? What do you like to see out of golf tournaments, and how are they succeeding, and what do you see in the Ally Challenge?
Well, first of all, I want to reiterate some thank yous here. I want to thank Ally and Andrea for her leadership and for their leadership bringing this event back to this great area of America. I want to commend Phil Incarnati and McLaren and the team for their great support. to Kevin Otsby with Warwick Hills, and obviously to Chris and Dan for their leadership, and again to this whole community for responding the way that you have to this great PGA Tour Champions event. And to answer Dan's question, I think you have to look no further than this event itself in terms of what makes an event successful. You've got a great title sponsor that has its roots right here, that is committed to this community, that knows this community, that is committed to the path forward and wants to make a difference. 60% of our tournaments on PGA Tour Champions are title sponsored by a home and headquartered company, and I think that makes a big difference. It really does, and I think that's again reflected in the $800,000 that was raised last year, which, by the way, is the second largest charitable accomplishment for a first-year event in the history of PGA Tour Champions, which is. But when you have a community focus, and then you can tap into rich history and heritage of the game here, to your point, 51 years of professional golf here at Warwick Hills, and to have players on PGA Tour Champions, many of whom grew up playing at this tournament, trying to win this tournament when it was on the PGA Tour, to have a gap in time and then to be able to come back into this great community on this great golf course and play. I mean, they were all here, they loved it, and I want to also commend them. I mean, just the way that that they responded to this first-year event. It was palpable as you watched it on TV. It was very noticeable in the comments, and I think, you know, again, going back to the nature of the business, what other sport can you say you're a rookie when you turn 50 years old? And it's these guys come onto this tour, and there is a renewed enthusiasm. They play the game at the highest possible levels, and it's fun for fans to watch because there's a great appreciation they have for everybody that's made it happen for them, like a title sponsor and all the fans that are here throughout the week.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you, Jay. So, Andrew, you said in your comments that priority was giving back to the community. But there are other reasons why Ally got into sponsoring this tournament. You have a lot of options out there on what you could sponsor. What jumped out at you in the first year that made it even maybe better than what you expected?
You know, I mean, I think for us, there were a number of things. One was the opportunity to reach a demographic that obviously lined up really well with our customer base. And so, you know, from that perspective, it made a lot of sense for us from a business point of view. But I think the driving forces for us were a few things. One, we have this huge mission at Ally to align with things that reflect our purpose and the kind of what I call the heart of the brand. And through the PGA sponsorship and the Ally Challenge, we've been able to reflect the heart of the brand, both in terms of being able to have our own employees here working on the golf course over the weekend and being involved in it, through the charitable giving, and then just the one-to-one experiences of having people kind of live and feel and touch our brand up close through the interaction and watching us put on a really great party over the course of the weekend, I think said a lot about our brand personality. So just that opportunity for us we thought was huge vis-a-vis other things that we had opportunities to sponsor.
Yeah, great. It sure came through, that's for sure. Jay, so the platform for the PGA Tour is different than any other sports enterprise out there. Talk a little bit about the giving back part of it, the charity, the baseline of giving back to charity within everything that the PGA Tour and all its other tours focus on.
So the PGA Tour, not a lot of people know this, so pardon me for over-explaining, but PGA Tour is a 501c6 tax-exempt membership organization. Our players are our members. Unlike team sports, our players are independent contractors, and they're not employees of the organization. And so each week, as you see here, that during the week of the Ally Challenge, players show up, and a good percentage of them go home without earning any money. And since we were founded, the net proceeds from the tournaments have gone back to charity. We don't have owners, we don't have investors, we don't have owners, we don't have investors. So that has been the essence of this model, and that goes back 50 years. And as the world has gotten, I think, less and less personalized, we've tried to be more and more personalized in the communities where we play. And that is the essence of what happens at our tournaments. And it's something that we across the organization, our sponsors like Ally take great pride in, and all of our players understand that that's part of our responsibility to every single market that we come into. And it's a really simple business. The more good you can do in the communities where you play, the better off the event and the community you're going to be, and it's served the organization really well.
That's great, thank you. And Andrew, I know you talked in your comments again about the charities that benefited last year and the ones coming forward this year. Just maybe offer a little bit more pride in the ability to join with others to raise money and awareness for the charities that were benefiting.
You know, I mean, I think, as I said in my comments, that was our driving motivator. I remember when, you know, it came down to Ponte Vedra and met with your team and talked about the sponsorship and learned that so much money could go back into the local community. And I came back and I called our CEO and I said, here's the deal and here's how it works. And without hesitation, he was like, we're in. And I think it's such a unique model. And it becomes this pride point for the community. And I think just the challenge of, can we raise more now? We get to 800,000 last year. Can we get to 1 million this year? How far can we go? And everybody coming together as a team and as a community and really trying to do the right thing becomes very motivating. And I will tell you, this is a big pride point for the employees of Ally. You know, we had over 150 people that volunteered from our company. It just was a huge buzz. Week leading up to, you know, in the time after, we talk about it consistently as something that we're really proud of. And I think there are a few things as a marketer that you can grab onto that can bring together so many different aspects of community, other partners like McLaren, you know, the membership at Warwick, the local community, and our own employees, and do so much good and give so much back. That's really what we're all in business for.
Yeah, no doubt. And so not to beat it too far, but just on the volunteer side, we had 900 volunteers last year. Jay, you see all these tournaments. We're involved with others across the country. Amazing the amount of interest and passion that people have to come be a part of an event like this, and it all starts with volunteerism.
I always find myself not doing an adequate enough job of explaining how powerful the volunteer program is, how vital the volunteers are to the success of these tournaments. And it really comes back to what you just said, Dan, which is they generally come from the community. And the same pride that Andrea just articulated is their motivation. They want to showcase their community. They want to impact charitable organizations. And they have an opportunity for a minimum of 24 hours that week to come out and make a difference. And the neat thing is, you look at the way that they interact with fans, they welcome fans, they're ambassadors. They take ownership of the event. And I know that had to be the case last year just based on the performance of the event, not just financially, but 60,000 people at a first-year event. This place looked absolutely phenomenal on television. But it's volunteerism. We'll have over 100,000 volunteers, unique volunteers at all of our tournaments over a course of the year. We wouldn't be in business without them.
Yeah, there's no question. Absolutely. Additional thoughts on volunteers just coming out of the Ally ranks. You had 150 last year. What are we going to go to? 300 this year?
Absolutely. As my boss reminded me, we still have to run a business, so everybody can't leave that week. But, you know, I mean, I think for our people, again, not only was it fun, but it was a pride point. It was a way to bring the brand to life. I know McLaren had a ton of volunteers as well, which was awesome. And, you know, it just makes you proud to be in this community. And I think volunteerism is the heart of what we believe in as a company. We always say we're never going to be able to write the biggest check, but we can out-heart anybody. And, you know, it's not just this that we volunteer for. It's so many different things. And I think even just the things we did going into the local schools and teaching financial literacy, participating with the charity partners last week and or last year, and not just in terms of writing a check, but being there, having a couple of the players actually go and read at the schools. So it's not just the thing that you do at that point in time and then you walk away and you leave it. It's the roots that you leave in the community through volunteerism and the lasting benefit that it drives for that local community. That's what's important to us. You know, it's easy to just drop in and pull out, but that's not what we're about.
Yeah, you got it. So let's talk about the players for a minute. You say you got rookies every year turning 50, and we got a couple of major championship winners coming up here in Furyk and Els in the future. But they are the brand, and they are great ambassadors. We saw it last year. I think anybody a part of this tournament last year saw the enthusiasm out of the players on Tuesday night during our party and Wednesday and Thursday Pro-Am. But talk a little bit about the players and what they bring to the table, Jay, from just engaging the community and representing the brand.
Yeah, I think when you look at what happens over the course of the week and the way that PGA Tour Champions players, once they arrive to the moment that they depart, this is not a 3-day tournament. It's generally a 7-day event of which they take an ownership position in. And they come out, support the community events. A large percentage of them are at a Pro-Am draw party. They'll spend extra time with their Pro-Am participants. And as I said earlier, given the fact that it's 27 events, we've got 27 events on this tour, we've got 46 on the PGA Tour, they can't afford to miss an event. So the strength of field that you have here is really strong. That was certainly the case here last year, and it's going to just continue to get stronger. Ernie turns 50 at the end of the year, and you look at the Mike Weirs and the Jim Furyk's and the Phil Mickelsons and the Angel Cabreras who are not too far behind. And I could go on and on and on. The next 5 years for PGA Tour Champions looks really, really positive. And the one interesting dynamic that you see is that you'll get the question of what happens when some of these guys turn 50 that are playing at a high level on the PGA Tour at 46, 47, 48, and there are questions as to whether or not they're going to continue to play once they turn 50 and play on PGA Tour Champions. And I've had a lot of conversations with those players individually. And I said, well, let's just wait and see. And their nature, everything that they've been trained to do is to go and beat the people that they've spent the most amount of time with other than their family over the last 20 years. And I think the strength of this product, the strength of this platform, and the community that they have amongst each other is gonna put this tour and keep this tour in a really strong place. And this community is going to benefit from that for a long time to come.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I will say, I think we did something no other tournament's ever done. We had the players bartending last year during the Pro-Am draw party, and it was a huge success. They loved doing it, and the people loved seeing them.
Who was the best one?
Tom Gillis was the best one. Tom Gillis did like a 1 for 2 every time. It was pretty amazing. Don't say that, media. Andrea, you've got a relationship with Mark O'Mara as a brand ambassador. Talk a little bit about Mark and your thought process on picking a PGA Tour Champions player to represent the brand.
Well, Mark is the epitome of class. I mean, he's just an awesome guy and has actually become a really good friend. And to Jay's point, when he was here last year, he actually stayed with us, and he wanted to be out in the community every single night. Everything from going up and visiting the football team while they were playing and getting to say a few words to the kids to he loves grocery shopping. You want to go grocery shopping every night. So we spent a lot of time at Kroger in Grand Blanc. And I swear, it was the longest I've ever been in a grocery store. We were in there for about 2.5 hours because everybody kept coming up to him. My favorite was one guy who was like, I know you. I'm so excited to meet Rocco Mediate. But Mark is he's an awesome guy. He's a hard worker. What I love is he still is playing at such a high caliber of play. It would have been awesome if he won last year and he was right in the running. He just won, obviously, this year, which was amazing. But I think he represents what our brand is all about. He's just got a big heart. He believes in that spirit of do it right, in the golden rule, do unto others as you would want done to yourself. And I think he's a wonderful brand ambassador. He takes every opportunity he can to talk about our brand, to showcase our brand. He goes above and beyond. We had him at a dealer conference earlier this year, and he was regaling people with all of his wonderful Mark O'Mara stories. And you think that, a lot of the dealers felt like they had died and gone to heaven because they're just amazing things that you wouldn't have heard otherwise. So could not be happier with somebody like Mark and what he represents for the brand.
That's great. And the great news is there's plenty more players like that out on the PGA Tour Champions. All right, we'll end with one last question just from a business perspective. Your organizations are both into communicating with consumers in a really unique way every single day from a digital perspective, right? So how has it changed for you, Jay, and the PGA Tour and all your tours on just reaching new fans in this changing world of technology and content distribution?
Well, I would just 5 years ago, if you look from at a very simple level, how we presented the PGA Tour week in and week out, we were typically on cable television Thursday, Friday for 3 hours, and network television Saturday, Sunday for 3 hours. You fast forward, and at that point in time, you couldn't bring a phone to one of our tournaments, you couldn't take a video, you couldn't post anything. You fast forward to today, and you look at PGA Tour and PGA Tour champions, and we've introduced a direct-to-consumer product, PGA Tour Live. We've had over 900 live viewing hours this year, in addition to our extensive coverage on cable and network television. We've invested significantly in every single social media platform. We've put resources in place to work directly with all of our players to get highlights and content onto their platforms very quickly, partnering with them, to build and diversify our audience. We used to upload to satellite all of our feeds internationally, distribute them to 55 unique international markets. Today, we're now directly in that market, in those markets, direct to consumer with an international product called Golf TV, and then we're doing individual unique deals on cable and on linear television. And you look at augmented reality to virtual reality, the sport has essentially gone to a 24/7 presence during the course of the year, and certainly during a tournament week, and that's only going to continue. And it really comes back to our number one goal being to grow and to diversify our fan base. And with consumption patterns and habits changing, and Ally knows this better than anyone, you've got to be where your fans are and where your future fans are. And we're investing in making certain that we're there, given this great point in time that the PGA Tour champions find ourselves in.
Great. Andrew, how about you? From reaching all of us from a consumer standpoint, and maybe how this golf tournament can help do that in one small way.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I echo a lot of what Jay said. I think the advertising and marketing landscape has changed more in the last 5 years than it's changed probably in the 100 preceding that. And the biggest reason for that is the adaptation of technology. If you think about how quickly technology adoption is happening, it took 65 years for the airlines industry to hit over 1 million users, and Twitter hit 1 million users in less than 2 years. And so when you start to see the way that people are consuming media, omni-channel, any time of the day, the passing of information, for us as marketers, it becomes a massive challenge, especially as people have opportunity to skip through commercials, not pay attention to our message. So for us, it's all about finding those places where we can create one-to-one experiences with the consumer, and an event like this is that opportunity where you can't miss our brand. You can't miss interacting with our brand. And we are really unique because we're a digital financial services company, no brick and mortar. So you're never going to drive out of here and see an Ally branch on the corner. And so it makes my job that much harder in terms of ensuring that our brand stays in front of you. And we do that a lot of the ways that Jay talked about, whether it's through social, one-to-one experiences, but something like this really gives us that ubiquitous appeal where we can be in front of people on a consistent basis.
Great answer. Well, hopefully that helps you guys get a little insight on the PGA Tour and Ally as a brand, and the Ally Challenge presented by McLaren as a tournament. We very much appreciate Andrea, Jay, everyone within your organizations for the partnership from an H&S perspective. We're going to make the second year better than the first, and that's going to keep on growing. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. I'm going to hand it over to Chris here, who will take the rest of the program. Thanks, folks.
Thanks. It was awesome. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Andrea. Thanks, Dan. I just have a couple extra comments to wrap up here. So I want to pose this question. Who here has a charity outside of the 2 charities that we just announced so favorably today that's special to them? Anybody have any other charities? That's what I figured. I have good news for you. Ally has invested and supported a program that's really important to us called Birdies for Charity, presented by Ally. And it's really a program in the simplest sense that really invites any 501c3 in the state of Michigan to partner with our tournament, and we can work with you on it to kind of participate in your fundraising that you're already doing, to connect it to the tournament, and the tournament can provide a 10% bonus back to your charity. And we'd love to work with you. There's no cost to do it. So I just want to invite you, if you have a charity that you'd like to talk to us about, we'd like to talk to you and figure out a way to partner with you on that. special thanks again for everyone coming out today. Very exciting things to kind of work on as we move forward and start getting closer to second week of September of 2019. I want to invite everyone here. We've got just some drinks and some snacks out in the foyer. Please stick around and help yourself to some of that. For the media, please hang tight. We'll get to doing one-on-one interviews with all of you. We're going to do a few photos up here once we wrap up, and then we'll do some interviews. Thanks again for everybody. Look forward to seeing you in September. Thank you.